Protests over the death of George Floyd in the capital city leading to looting, vandalism, and concerns about what's next. This video shows flashbangs and pepper spray being used to break up crowds. There have been reports of fires and police asking people to use alternate routes around downtown tonight. We have team coverage tonight, starting with ABC 10's Van Tu. Van, what are you seeing all around you?
Well, Mike, we have seen a lot of lawlessness tonight, and one of the heartbreaking things between the demonstrations and the active looting we've seen here, we are now also seeing small local business owners returning to their shops, broken into, vandalized, and robbed. You can just see the heartbreak on their faces. Many of the small business owners here not willing to share what they're feeling right now. It's just too tough for them. They have declined interviews. But here at Halal Food and Ice Cream on J Street, he did say that we can film him as he starts the cleanup process here tonight on the third night of protests here in Sacramento. It has been a very tense night. Earlier, just about an hour ago, there was a tense standoff, face-off with police officers outside of the state capitol for about 20 minutes, where demonstrators came face-to-face with Sacramento City police officers who deployed chemical agents into the crowd and sprayed also plastic bullets into the crowd to disperse them. Meanwhile, just blocks away from the active demonstrations, we also saw active looting. We saw Tony's down the street here on J looted. We also saw big corporations looted as well, Rite Aid on K Street. So really, Mike, just a very intense night, and it doesn't show any signs of letting down. Here is the subway. I would estimate every shop here on J Street has been broken into. We've seen the bank broken into. We've seen Metro PCS broken into. But I do want to remind you where all of this anguish started from, and that is the killing of George Floyd, and that is what started these protests. So throughout the night, we have seen people chanting George Floyd's name, Black Lives Matter. At one point earlier today as well, at one point earlier today as well, demonstrators overtook I-5. So really, Mike, just a wild day. I can go through the list on and on, but I will send it back to you right now. Still a very active scene in downtown Sacramento.
Hard to see all that damage, Van. Thank you for your reporting. All right, tonight, Cal HR telling all state departments with offices in downtown and city areas that they'll be closed tomorrow, June 1st. We received a copy of this email sent out to workers tonight. It reads, if you have a doubt as to whether your office will be closed, please contact your supervisor before beginning to head into work tomorrow. And tonight, Sacramento police tweeting that firefighters had to respond to a report of a fire at 8th and J Streets. We've not received any updates since this tweet, but we have seen several fire personnel in that area tonight. Sac police warning people traffic may be impacted throughout the evening in the downtown area. Please be aware and use alternate routes if possible. All right, now we want to bring in ABC 10's John Bartel, who's live in downtown Sacramento. John, tell us where you are and what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, hey, right now we're at 12th and J right now, and I can just tell you, we've been walking around all over town right now, and there's really just a lot of vandalism and a lot of devastation out here. But let's just focus on this 3-block strand from 12th and J all the way up to about 14th Street. So a lot of historic businesses here. Right behind us, we've got Tony's Deli. This place, all of the windows broken in this area. And really in this what's happening here is we've been told that Black Lives Matter have actually been the ones trying to protect this area, trying to protect here, and there's other people coming in to break this. But I just want to take glass strewn all up along this area right here on J Street. Multiple businesses. As you just walk up through here, it is going to take a lot of cleanup. I can tell you that right now. And the mood tonight is a little different. Let me give you a little perspective. We were out last night, and it was more confined, but this is much more spread out in this area. There's also, it does feel like there is more people in the area. And what's hard is that these groups, they continually are on the move, and so are the police. So it's hard, there just moments ago in this area, there was hundreds of people, but then that changes just within a matter of minutes. So take a look at Claim Jumper up here. This is just a massive amount of windows broken, just this street is littered with broken glass. This massive restaurant here, you can see all of this glass just on the ground. And it's really sad because we've been walking through the streets. We were actually parked, Tyler, what do you think, about maybe 5-10 blocks from here? We had to move our car several times because they were breaking into other cars. We were trying to protect our gear. So there's a lot of that. But I do want to recognize just down the street here is a vigil where there is a peaceful vigil for a lot of the people lost in some of these police shootings here just up the street. So there is some peace here, but there really is just a lot of devastation in this area. Mike?
Thanks, John. Yeah, there's a lot of different things going on tonight, and of course, both sides of the coin are being shown tonight. We want to switch now, see if we can get over to Giacomo Luca. We are hearing that police are on the move. Giacomo, what are you seeing?
Well, that's right, Mike. We were at 7th and K Street near the downtown Commons where a large group of protesters, at least a couple of hundred, were trying to move into the downtown Commons. That's over there where you can see a line of police officers, at least a dozen or so. Now, these officers have moved down K Street, okay, and as you can see, there's a small group of protesters sitting here on 8th, facing off with at least a dozen officers. We're going to let Jose go right past you so you can see what we're seeing. They're now sitting down in the middle of 8th Street, facing off against these police officers. Now, there are police everywhere. They have been moving in their patrol cars. They're moving on foot. There is just a large police presence really all over the city. These officers, in fact, are from the Roseville Police Department. Sacramento's City Council told us earlier this evening that at least officers from 10 departments would be aiding this evening in what's going on. At this point, remaining in this area, there's no confrontation. We're not seeing any attacks or any push or movement from police or from protesters, just a lot of shouting, just a lot of emotion. But certainly we've seen a lot of everything tonight, and we hope that at least it'll stay calm for the time being. But for now, we're going to send it back to you.
Giacomo, I just wanted to ask you, we can see those protesters behind you. They're sitting, they're chanting something, and they're holding their hands up. Can you describe what exactly you're hearing and what you're seeing?
Yeah, so these folks right here, they've got their hands in the air. One person has a sign that says "Silence costs lives." We've got another one saying "No justice, no peace." This seems to be the sentiment, the cry, the outcry that protesters throughout the city have been chanting today. Obviously, over the big concern, the frustration with the killing of the man in Minnesota, but also frustration from things that have happened in Sacramento. We've talked to activists earlier today who tell us that, you know, this is like a volcano erupting. So even though it didn't happen in Sacramento, there is frustration from things that have happened in terms of people of color and law enforcement across our city in the past, and that is the buildup of what we're seeing here tonight, Mike.
Okay, Giacomo, we know that you're sticking on this, so we're going to check back in a little bit later. But we want to tell you a new video tonight showing protesters chanting Stephon Clark while near the state capitol. Take a listen. In this video, protesters were kneeling on one knee with hands up in front of that police line. This happening near the state capitol garage. And earlier today, protesters shut down I-5 in downtown Sacramento. This is the northbound lanes near J Street. Protesters were cleared off the freeway within about an hour, but traffic was snarled for a while and it got back up again and moving in a short time. All right, meanwhile, let's check back in with John Bartel at a vigil in Cesar Chavez Park right now. What are you seeing, John?
So Mike, you know, like I was saying, all around us here, there is just a lot of chaos in this area. And Cesar Chavez Park here seems to be this small little refuge. You just say, let's walk down here. What's happening here is a vigil that's been set up earlier today, and it's been kept up here. These are vigils for people, victims of police violence here. And this is one of the few places where there's people, they're calm and they're remembering the victims of police violence. So Tyler, take a look up there while we go through here, and you can kind of see some of these areas. But this does also seem to be an area where people come to take refuge in here. But Mike, all around us there is just several places, windows being broken into. So this is kind of the small refuge amongst a lot of chaos in the city here.
Yeah, and that's where we also saw earlier they had set up kind of a respite center where they could get water and snacks. And can you just read to me, if you can get close enough, some of those signs that people have posted left there as kind of a memorial?
Yeah, and yeah, we can definitely do. And Mike, I want to also remember, this is there is volunteer medics out here. As we're panning through some of these victims here, I want to talk about some of the volunteer medics that have come back here. There is a lot of people with cuts and bruises, and this is a place where they can come here. But let's read off some of the victims. A lot of these may be familiar to us here. We've got, of course, got George Floyd here, and it's like. Daryl Richards, got Dazon. Well, so as you can see, it is kind of amazing to go really back in time and look at all of these victims here. And this is the very reason these people are out here today doing what they're doing here.